Well, if you listened last week, I said the challenge was going to be to stay out of my head. And yeah, I called it because I was totally in my head this week. I feel like just as it's getting closer, the more like stress and pressure and excitement is coming up, because ultimately I figured out that those the criticism and the hyper focus and the stress, those are just like protection, right? Because competing and fitness are so important to me, and this is such a big deal that I'm getting back on stage after such a long time away, that I'm just protecting myself. So I'm trying to be careful that in those moments that I'm feeling a little bit of stress, that it's okay. It's just my mind trying to prepare me for what's coming. But yeah, I was totally in my head. And yeah, but I feel a lot better today. I did a lot of things like journaling and talking with both my coach for prep and then also my mindset coach, and really got myself back in line. What derailed me the most this week in terms of just like the thought or the experience that kind of threw everything off was I checked in with my coach Monday, and then we decided together to maybe make some changes to my nutrition in terms of just like the food choices, just to start being like a little bit more consistent and seeing if that would change my physique at all. And I was totally open for that, but also a little bit nervous in a way, just because I have been so flexible in my approach this time and have had a lot of food freedom. I didn't really know how it was going to affect me, and it kind of affected me more than I thought. I just kept telling myself to trust the process, and even though it feels unknown and I don't know what the end result is going to be, to just keep going. And ultimately I just kept feeling this stirring and unrest in my soul that I just could not figure out. And I think ultimately that was causing a lot of like body focus for me, and noticing like, okay, everything I eat is going to affect my body, and the way that my body looks is going to affect how it is on stage, and just this like big long thing. And then that throws in comparison. So now I'm comparing to what was when I competed almost 3 years ago, which I really shouldn't be comparing to, because I'm in such a different place now, and I want to be in a different place. But I think in those moments of uncertainty, I just wanted to go back to what I knew. And I know that when I've competed in the past, I've been like super shredded and super lean, because that's what my focus was. I just wanted to be lean. And so I was comparing to that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have my abs yet. I don't have this yet. And we're getting closer. So yeah, just a lot of comparison and freaking myself out. Getting my mindset back was really important to me, because I knew that if I was feeling that uncertainty, stress, pressure, whatever it was that was kind of building up inside of me, that I really wasn't going to show up the way that I wanted to. And so it was hard. I had to really do a lot of soul searching and really listening. I know last week I talked a little bit about my faith and how this journey is faith building and bodybuilding, faith, fitness, like they all just come together for me. I'm constantly learning lessons. And I also mentioned that I'm only doing this because I've been given a second chance, and that God said go, but do it in a different way. And so I had to listen to that, and I had to listen to maybe that unrest in my soul was coming from a little like small voice from God, like, hey, something has to change. And so I just did a lot of praying. I did a lot of talking to people who I know my story and know my faith and know my goals and could help me in that. So that was really, really helpful to help get my mindset back on track. So with the challenges that arose this week and just my headspace going everywhere, I learned some valuable lessons. And I would say that they really came to light in just after speaking with my mindset coach yesterday, right before posing. And I was able to just kind of say everything that was on my mind to someone who's more neutral. and can just hear me out and also shoot back questions for me. So some of the big things, the big takeaways that I learned was, for me, it would actually be a lot easier for me to choose like a super restrictive plan or like an extremely difficult workout plan, because I'm an extremist. I'm kind of an all or nothing person. So doing the harder thing, and part of, I think, what God has called me to do in terms of doing it different is to choose the harder thing. And so the harder thing for me is to maybe not be so restrictive and maybe not, kill myself in the gym. And so where that led from there was this idea of, but then I feel like I'm not enough because I'm not working as hard as somebody else. And so with that, she asked me, well, maybe we need to redefine what hard work is. And so it prompted a lot of thoughts for me, because I think in our society, we really showcase or kind of uplift or put people on a pedestal of who's more deprived or more restrictive, or who got the least amount of sleep, or who has the busiest schedule. We kind of take pride in those things. And I know for me, like in my past experiences, I have taken pride in some of those too. And then she asked me, well, what about pride and abundance, and pride and sustainability, and pride and safety? Where did those fall in? So again, me being very spiritual, I asked, well, then I should ask myself, what power is this coming from? What power would want me to feel pride and deprivation? And what power would want me to feel pride and abundance? And so I know in me and my faith journey that God would want me to feel pride and abundance. And because we serve an abundant God, but I also know that, with following God and those things like sacrifice and deprivation or restriction or whatever, those things come too, but it's just like, where are you putting your pride? So those were huge lessons for me. And then I think carrying that a little bit further was, I just want to feel my best on show day. I want to feel proud of the efforts that I put in, and I want to feel proud of the package and the physique that I bring, because ultimately this is an aesthetic sport, right? I've tried to tell myself like, oh, my body doesn't matter, or it doesn't matter what I look like, but that's kind of a lie, because then I wouldn't be in bodybuilding and I wouldn't be getting on stage to compete and have someone judge my physique. So I had to just change the way in which I looked at that, and ultimately it's my value doesn't change based on my body, but my body is what I can show myself through. Like if I'm feeling good about myself and I can love myself from the inside out, that's going to show through. And so that was another huge lesson.